Lorna, hello. It's such a treat to have you back at Thomas Textiles.
I just love Newcastle and I'm just so glad to be back again. So yeah, it's Newcastle has just grown on me for so long and just lovely to be here again, and part of my work relates to my first show here as well.
It does. So I'd like to introduce Lorna Crane. Lorna is a new member of Untethered Fibre Artists, and this is their second exhibition here. And Lorna, I wondered if you could talk a bit about alternate conversations.
Alternate conversation is a really interesting concept. Carrying on from the alternate theme from Untethered Fibre Artists is all about having that conversation in a work. It's been an exciting challenge to be a part of this group of like-minded people. The format for this exhibition, Jen Flory and Kerry Toos and the rest of the committee, we had a chat about, well, what are we going to do? We had Alternate View last time, and we'd like to do this other exhibition, and we came up with the concept of conversation. Kerry had found a carton of vintage film at recycled garbage, and she thought, wouldn't it be great if we could explore material language and push a little bit further by incorporating that in the work. Now the format of the work is with a square canvas, 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres, to give a unified kind of feel in the show. And I think that this carries through really quite well in a group exhibition. Yeah, it was really interesting kind of seeing the voices that would come out and the different conversations. What I really enjoyed is kind of like seeing how these works came together. I think it's worked really, really well. Some people didn't continue with the vintage film, whereas others really embraced it wholeheartedly. Yeah, it's been a really interesting exploration of people that wanted to be more soft and subtle. In particular, the work of Elaine Whitten, and incorporating her time as a child, listening to the push telephones. You know, she's got all of these little comments of little conversations that she's heard. Also,
there seems to be text through quite a few of these artworks. Is that something as a group you discussed?
I think that the words actually add more meaning, especially with the conversations. But there's also that the use of the tactility of the textural appeal as well in the layers. There's one great big bold work of Pam de Groot that I find really fascinating, and it's really quite poignant now as well, especially with the fires that have been happening. You know, is an installation piece that she worked on. She's a basket maker in Felter, and I just think it's a really strong and bold piece as well.
So Lorna, can you talk us through the process of a group of 20 artists pulling together a body of work that is cohesive and actually therefore can be hung in a gallery?
Okay, we meet 4 times a year where we go through the initial process of, this is the theme that we're going to use and explore. We want it to be with our own individual and unique voice as well. But we kind of work through that from the initial concept to then doing rough sampling as well, rough ideas in our sketchbook, and then what we're doing is seeing work in progress as well. And in each group we give feedback to each other. And again, that was another thing that attracted me with the group in the first place, because we also challenge each other and make sure that we're staying close to the theme as much as possible. Then we've also got to have the work ready, 80% ready, to be curated and critiqued again. Sometimes in some exhibitions we have, for Strange Notions, another one, we have a guest artist that comes in and does a little bit of critiquing as well.
So Lorna, this is 10 years now that Untethered has been operating. It's a very successful group, fibre art, here in Australia. And people have come and gone in that time, but it's maintained its very strong work and approach to exhibiting. Jen, I wondered if you could talk about the alternative conversation that's occurring in your piece.
Okay.
Yes.
My work's about the starting and ending points of a conversation, and it was part of a series of chats I had with my kids, and I acknowledged that part of my job as their mother and as a grandmother is to pass on that family history and to share those stories of past for people they vaguely remember or can't remember who have passed. So I often think that when I'm telling those stories, I always start at the same point and then I go back to that same point the next time. So it's the starting and ending of that story, and it might vary in the middle, but it always loops. It always loops. And then I thought about how many of our conversations with people loop. We have, it's an ongoing dialogue and we keep coming back to that point and we start all over again. So all these little crochet pieces are all loops. They're all long chains that are looped back into the film strips, and the film strip is not about the image, but it's about the story, so the narrative that's created through those loops. And I made those little loops with my grandmother's teeny tiny little metal crochet hook and some of her crochet thread.
Kathy, I'd love you to talk about the alternate conversation that's occurring in your artwork, and congratulations, Kathy Griffin.
Well, my artwork, I actually have completed 2 artworks, which are both called Speaking Italian and Speaking Greek. And as a young person, all my friends went travelling, backpacking across Europe, travelling various places, which I never did. And later in life I was given the opportunity to travel, and with great passion I embraced it, but unfortunately could never really master the languages when I was travelling. I was doing a lot of arm waving and a few words of thank you and questions, and then as soon as I'd leave the country I could never remember the language. So my work talks about the visual language that I used when I was there and the memories that I have of those places, Italy and Greece.
Denise, could you talk about the alternate conversation that's occurring in your piece? Thank you.
Thank you. My piece is called The Chattering of Birds, and I did that because to me birds are a big part of my life. I love it. I do a lot of work with birds, but it's also, we're surrounded by birds and you always hear them having a conversation. I always think of it as a conversation together. So I wanted to incorporate pairs of birds within this piece of work. So I've got pelicans and the magpies, the cockies and the wrens, and different pairs, and I had them facing each other so that they're in the middle of a conversation. And it's just something special for me. I love, having birds around. You always hear them, so it's a great, piece to have. So this is machine stitched, and I've machine stitched all the birds and dyed all the colours in the wool. So all the fabric is hand dyed as well, most of it. Some of it's recycled fabric, which is really lovely. So yeah, it was just great to have it in the exhibition. Thank you.
Congratulations for being part of this exhibition, your beautiful artwork. I was wondering if you could talk about the alternative conversation that's occurring in your artwork.
Well, when I think about conversation, it's something that's very relevant to what I do in my art practice. There's always a conversation between the concept, the material and the technique that I use. And I'm quite taken with the process that I go through. It's quite private. That's the first conversation. And what is in the work is a result of that, I suppose, mediation between myself, the materials, the concept and the making. And then after that, the conversation becomes between the work, when I'm not attached to it, and the viewer. And there's always the wall card that can be read, but what I really like to think is that the viewer will bring a conversation, that alternate conversation to the artwork that I'm not privy to, and that I hope inspires them to respond to the work.
Draws them in for their own conversation.
For their own conversation, that's exactly right, Anne, with the work, the materials and the technique. And I'm not there, and it's up to them to interpret the work.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jen, congratulations on curating this exhibition for Untethered, another very successful exhibition here at Timeless Textiles.
Thank you. This is actually, it came together so fast, and as soon as we saw it, it was cohesive and we were thrilled, very, very pleased with it. We've been together as a group since 2014 and we exhibit all over the place in regional galleries, but this is our little gallery that we keep coming back to, and it's my hometown. So,
congratulations on your 10-year anniversary for next year. And I just have to say, every morning and every afternoon there is so much chattering going on between all of these pieces. They drive me mad. They chatter. The alternate conversations that go on, mind blowing.
bit like our members really, we're constantly
chatting.
Indeed.
So thank you. Well, congratulations on 2 levels. Firstly, to have your artwork back on the walls in Timeless Textiles makes me very happy. Congratulations on this wonderful show of Untethered exhibition that does open tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me and having us here. It's a real privilege. So, yeah,
Great.
Thank you.